There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And we've got a great set of voices here that we're going to talk to here in just a second. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. We enjoy doing these shows so much, and we bring some of the best people that we can find on the planet for you to talk to. And one of them is here. And first of all, Michelle, you're one of them too. How are you?
Hey, isn't it great to kind of feel that way? I never knew it was possible, but it is. We get that choice, and today we get to talk with somebody who understands exactly that because life happens. So Kathy Dye is here with us today. She's written some children's books we're going to go into and talk about, and then she has a website. You can go there and visit and find all this information along the way at kathydyeauthor.com. Her last name is D-Y-E. So welcome, Kathy. Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day. Weather's warming up down here in Indiana.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Indiana? Now that's one place I've never been. What's it like in Indiana?
Really? Indiana has varied weather, so we get all the seasons. We have beautiful we have some hills and valleys and beautiful places in southern Indiana. Indianapolis is a fun place to go. Lots of good things going on there. So great state.
Very, very good. And they have the Hoosiers there too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who are national championship football team.
Oh, yeah? Well, I live in Seattle, and we have...
Well,
okay, you two.
can't beat that, I don't guess.
we don't need to compare because from what I understand, the Hoosiers might give the Seahawks a very tough time. It's great. And I know it's been a long time since the Hoosiers in basketball, they've been good, but in football, this is a new thing.
This was a big deal. This is the first time they won the national championship. So that was a pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yep, and if you live in Seattle, a lot of people say, "Oh, you have a terrible sports thing going on there," because we never win anything until this year, and so that's really good. Enough of that. And so, Michelle, tell us a little bit more about Kathy, and I'm going to let you lead it a little bit.
Okay. Well, Kathy, I'd love for you to kind of tell us how the journey of all of this began and where the change maybe happened that guided you into doing everything that you've done now.
Well, I was in public education for 29 years, taught most of the time third grade, but my last 6 years or so of teaching, I went into teaching creative writing for grades K through 5. And I was able to write my own curriculum. I'd always incorporated writing into the classroom because writing and reading go together. And so it really the kids were the ones that kind of sparked me because I was always getting on to them about writing things. And they said, "Mrs. Dye, when are you going to write? What are you going to write?" And I'd always written a journal, and I started a blog several years ago. And I thought, you know what, they're right. And so I started writing a story. And what's funny about it, it was from my best friend, her husband, and she ran a home for people with Alzheimer's. It was in their own home. They would keep a few of the ladies there that had dementia and Alzheimer's. And I watched those ladies, and it was so fun because there were times that they would just start singing and they would know the songs. One played the piano. She could sit right down and play the piano. She might not know anything else that was going on around her. If they were a dancer, they would dance. And I thought, this is so intriguing to me. I said, there's some way I've got to write a story about this. And so the first rough draft that I wrote, I named Rosalie because one of the ladies' names kind of sounded like that. And I wanted it to kind of honor them. And I thought, well, I love music myself. It's always been a very integral part of my life from the time I was young till now. And I thought, I'm going to incorporate all these years of music. So I wrote a story, but I never did really like it. I did put it aside. I just, no, I'm not going to do anything. And I would try to rewrite it again. Nothing happened. Well, then my mother became sick with Alzheimer's. And then it just came together. The whole book just came together because of what happened in her situation. But I had never, published a book, but I decided after I retired, and then that's when I started writing. So sometimes you have to find a new path. After one ends, you go to the next. So that's what I've done.
So you didn't retire, you transitioned.
That's right. That's a better word. That's exactly right.
You transitioned to something that you always had in the back of your mind that you wanted to do. But I got to ask you, because I was looking at the titles of your book, were you in like a grocery store and you were in the candy section and you looked at the Kit Kat bar and said, I'm going to use that?
I know that's what most people think, but that's not true. Now, my grandchildren all call me Kit Kat. That's my name.
Oh.
And that began when my son was a student. He was a football player in college, and his teammates just started calling me Kit Kat. And because, Kathy, and then some of my friends call me Kat anyway. But so the grandkids took it up and they loved it. So I treasure that name. So that's where the names to those books started.
Very cool.
Oh, that is just awesome. And you also do music too?
Well, I love to sing, but I'm not a professional singer. I was in a chorus when I was in college, that kind of thing. But I've just always loved music. It just, I don't know, there's something soothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love to sing I'm just a variety. I love different kinds of music, but it's very important to me. And so with my mother, that we found that out when we were going through the struggles with her, that music was very soothing to her and is what relaxed her and helped to mellow her out. So,
well, as you know, music is vibrational in tone and what it does, and it just whether it was that Siri?
I'm afraid that's Siri. Siri, you just got to be quiet right there.
She's listening. She's learning.
That's right.
She wasn't quite sure she understood, but she's trying. No, that's perfectly fine. Because talking about music and vibration and that it does soothe. Well, you heard that from music soothes the savage beast and all of that, and music has a very important place in my life, so just like yours. So it's and your mom's, and that is so important. So congratulations on everything that you're doing. That is so. What experiences can you relate from? Because Alzheimer's is a big and growing problem for us here. And I have a relative who is in the early stages of that. And it's hard. It's a difficult thing. What was your experience with it?
It's something that you hear about, but I don't think you can truly understand it until it affects someone that you love. I do know that my experience with it is, and this is the phrase that's been coined, that it is the long goodbye. Because you can see my mother experienced way before she got into the really bad stages where she didn't know who we were, just the forgetting. Then it just got to be more and more. And we would see that, but it was like she was losing a little bit of herself all the time. And you see this progression, and it is just heartbreaking, because in the early stages, they know something's wrong, but they can't put their finger on it. And one of the most dramatic times, I wanted to take them out to see my mother's sister who lives in Phoenix. My parents were in Tennessee. And I wanted to go with my other aunt and my mother and my dad and take them out to see them one more time, because I knew Mom would get to where she probably couldn't travel. And so that was kind of funny things too, flying on an airplane with them at that time. And you have to go back. You have to laugh at some of the things, even though they're very sad and very tragic. But going out there, and Mother was at that stage, she knew something was wrong, and she was becoming more paranoid. And so during the trip, she was, kind of accusing us of ganging up on her, and Mother would have never done that before. So, she was dying, but living, and that person that she was. And so I think that's why we try to cling to those things that help us draw a bond back with them. And I know we had a conversation when we came back from that trip. She was very upset. And she said, I know that something is wrong with me. And, and then I had to admit and talk to her about that. And it was so sad and so heartbreaking to have to do that. So like what you said earlier, honestly, when they get to the stage when they don't remember, she seemed more content. And that's when, we would start singing with her, because she really couldn't carry a conversation. But when we would sing with her or put music on, then she would laugh, and we would sing with her, and we would joke about what we were doing. And, you have to find those moments to hold on to.
Yeah.
And those moments are very important and very special.
Yes.
And by the way, we're talking with Kathy Dye Burchell. Her website, please.
Yes. Go to her website. It is Kathy Dye, DYE, author.com. She's got everything there for speaking engagement, books, and all sorts of things. We'll continue to talk about when we come back. And Kathy, really just honor you for being able to be that person. Before we came on the show, we talked about, those moments are really what mattered. And that's what they're going to remember. That's what we can hold on to remember them, and letting them kind of just be however they are, rather than fully having that control. And I think even in our daily lives, we start to feel like we don't have that control. But when it's really stripped away from you, just it's a reminder, be so thankful that you have a brain to wake up and stress you out, that you can remember all those nitty gritty things you keep forgetting to do. And you're able to have that awareness, because without it, life changes. So keep that in mind, and love the people around you, and be patient with them in their normal minds too. And Kathy, I bet your mom was thankful to have had you in the end, to just be there, because that's all you could have really done, right?
Right. And that's all we can do. And my brother, my dad, he was a trooper. He kept Mom as long as he could. He was older than Mom, but he took care of her, and he was such a loving man. And I have to drop this in because it has to do with music, but
Okay.
He loved to sing, and he'd actually record songs, love songs to her. Mm-hmm. And so, like for special occasions, and he'd bring her a cassette tape. Shows you how old that is. But he loved to. He'd go to a recording studio, and he would record these songs, with the background music and everything. And so when we finally they had to go to an assisted living, and mother had to go to a mental place for her. It was inside of the assisted living, but for Alzheimer's patients. And we had a special 66th anniversary celebration for them. And Dad wouldn't sing out loud, but we played one of his tapes. And when he started singing, she sang at the top of her lungs. And she just grabbed his hand and just patted it. She didn't know. She couldn't even say his name. But she knew that. And knew
She
that.
knew enough.
And how, did you say that they had a 66-year marriage?
Yes, they did.
Holy Moses.
We need to talk about that when we come back from the break, because you don't hear that every day.
Hey, we'll be right back. Most people live their lives trying to escape tension. Rudra meditation teaches you how to use it. In Rudra meditation, Stuart Perrin shares over 40 years of lived practice. Not theory, not philosophy. He shares a non-denominational meditation practice that transforms emotional, mental, and physical pressure into clarity, joy, and love. This meditation isn't monastic, sequestered, or a means of hiding from life. It's a craft one learns that helps embrace day-to-day reality. It enables us to be responsible, to deal with loss, to master internal chaos. If tension runs your life, this book shows how to meet it and change it from the inside. Get a copy today. Discover a form of meditation that will transform discomfort and unhappiness into an open heart. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Brichelle is right there, and Kathy Dye is our guest. She is an author and an all-around wonderful lady, and her parent, it was your mom and dad?
Yes.
Married for 66. Did you ever have 66 years, Brichelle? Can you imagine? That's longer than you've been alive.
I can't wrap my head around that. I don't know if I want to be around one specific person now. That doesn't just happen.
I celebrated with my husband. We celebrated our 50th this year.
Oh, congratulations. Even that is so long.
That's 116 years for two couples.
That's right. Takes a lot of patience.
Is that your secret?
That's my secret.
A
lot of give and take.
And you have to put up with the dude for those 50 years.
That's right. That's right.
But so congratulations on that. So are you going to write a book about that?
I was just going to say that.
I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Lessons learned.
Yeah, that'd be cool. People like me need that, Kathy.
A lot of people need to believe that actually is a thing, that can still happen, because for so many people, we were interviewing a gal yesterday, and she lost her husband to ALS. And when he was diagnosed, he said, "Are you going to leave me?" And she said, "No, it's death do us until death do us part." And I was thinking to myself, a lot of people use those and say those vows, but then they get divorced and they don't mean them anyway. So it's really a great testament that generationally your parents and then you were married for so long. That's just great.
Thank you.
And I have to bring this up too. I have to ask Kathy, because there's somebody else besides me that wants to know. In our generation now, in this day and age, it's work on yourself, and then the person who is meant for you will come into play, and all this and this and that, and it's just sunshine, rainbows, and everything's just so great. But would you agree that the reality is if you don't put in work through yourself while you're with somebody consistently and learn to grow together, you naturally will grow apart, or you will stay standard in where you fell in love at?
Yes. It's, to me, it's just like all of life. It's just like me making a change after I retired. You know, after we both retired, we were retired at the same time. Well, we had to learn all over again how to live together in the same house.
Like, can you go do something?
I would go out to work. He would go out to work. But then all of a sudden, he's there all day. I'm there all day. So it's constantly changing, and you never should quit on working on who you are, but you have to work on who you are together too, and find that common bond, the things you have in common. One of the things that we have that I think has helped sustain us is we laugh a lot, and we laugh at our own idiosyncrasies, and we have a lot. So, and when you retire and you're home all the time, you find out more of those idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm.
When my mom and dad when my dad retired, my mom was a homemaker for her whole life. And so when my dad retired, suddenly because he worked for a company that he worked 50, 60 hours a week. And so suddenly he invaded her space, and stuff. Did your husband, after he retired, ever try and change the spice? Help me, Michelle.
Alphabetize the spices.
Thank you.
No. He doesn't get in the kitchen much unless he wants to eat.
Well, I guess that's better.
Well, and we, each of us has our own little kingdom that we set up in our house, and it's like in my studio, nobody comes in here, even if they lived here. I don't know why he said that.
I've
Anyway,
been in there.
that's true. You have, but Kathy, it's remarkable. Now, you've written how many books now?
Well, I have 3 children's books that I've published.
When is the next one coming out?
Well, I don't know about the next children's book. I'm still got that. It'll be a Kit Kat book probably, but I haven't got that one written yet. But I was talking to Brichelle that I do have a Bible study for women to help them get through hard times. And it's hopefully we're going to be out in the next couple of months. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Well, Brichelle, did you tell her that when that book comes out that she's going to? I figured you did. Did you?
Yeah. So I want to talk about all the books because they all follow a story, but I have to ask you a question. I don't know if anybody asks you, and I didn't notice it the first time I reviewed your website. You have a little section called Gabbing with Gertie. What is that?
Gertie, her name is Gertrude McFarland. She is my best friend. She is my alter ego. She is a Southern woman who loves to give information, and she loves to give advice. And she has a husband, Gus, who's wonderful because he never says a word. So,
yes, dear.
He says nothing.
Marriage made in heaven, and
That's right. That's why we get along so well. That's why Gertie gets along well with Gus. But Gertie started during COVID, and of course I was home. I was supposed to be teaching online part of the time. Part of the time we didn't. We're just closed down, and I knew people were sad. I think there was a lot of angst during that time, and I just wanted to bring a little joy into their home. And so I just filmed these on Zoom. I just did these little 3-minute conversations. And I started out where I would have like letters that were written to me, people needing advice, because Gertie likes to give advice. And so I would have them write a letter about something that happened. A lot of it was poking fun at masks and the things that were really bugging us. It was a serious time, but at the same time, it's like Alzheimer's. You have to find some sort semblance of joy in there. And so I would make these little things, and I would put a scripture in there to try to encourage people. I would kind of turn it around and just give a little encouragement. And then I always end it with, I love you. Gertie loves you, but God loves you more. But I brought her back the last few months, and I've had a good response on it. So she's on Facebook and on Instagram, but you can follow it under my name. It's under my name.
Well, I just wanted to give a moment to bring that up. After I read it, I was like, we got to talk about this because that's so special. I mean, through your marriage and having her, through your friendships, and guiding back to the book. Kevin, do you have a question before I start guiding us down the road of how the books all came into play?
Yeah, because I wanted to ask is Gertie your alter ego, and and is that your fantasy about having a husband who doesn't say anything?
I don't know if I want to say that on public.
She said no.
If anybody is watching, which some will be watching probably later, but if anybody is, they know that that's the opposite of our personalities, honestly. I'm more of the quiet one. My husband is the talker, and he's usually the one that's really outgoing. So we just flip-flopped in this scenario, but it's fun, and he enjoys doing it as much as I do.
Yeah.
And now, where are you, by the way?
Where? What do you mean?
Where are you physically? Are you are you in the South?
No, well, Southern Indiana.
That.
We did talk about that, I think.
Yes, we did.
I don't know. I have the beginning state anyway.
Yeah, okay.
But I did want to mention to you that I would love, you need to write a book, and I would love for you to do this. A Midwestern style of speaking and storytelling is really unique. And I always threatened, I had a boss in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and he had some of the most unique sayings. And I threatened him with writing a book about all of his sayings, like I'm busier than a one-armed paper hanger, and different things like that. Have you ever thought about writing a book about Americana like that, and the different languages that because there's a real uniqueness to some of that.
Oh yeah, when just like even the thing, just something as simple as saying, well, where does so and so live? Oh, he lives over yonder.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, where's yonder? And there actually is a street in a town. It's called Yonder Street.
That's so cool.
But yeah, it is unique. It's fun, and see, I'm from Tennessee. That's my roots.
Aha.
That's my mother was from south of Nashville, and she lived in the hills. And what was so funny is, she grew up down there, and she loved. And part of the book, it'll start out where she was, because I go through her life with a song in her heart. And so I say she grew up in the hills of Tennessee, and she would go out into the hills and everything. But anyway, when we grew up, we were in grade school, we moved to Illinois, Northern Illinois. And that was a big shockaroo for Southern people, because soda was not Coke or soda, it was pop. And we didn't know all these, the different language, another language we said it was. But anyway, Mother would always, whenever we would be driving south, when we hit that Mason-Dixon line, her accent all came back. We would just laugh because she'd go, oh, look at those hills, they're just gorgeous. So
you can take the South out of the girl.
Can't get rid of.
Take the girl out of the South, but you can't take the South out of the girl.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
And that is so cool, and there's such Americana, and there's such a flavor to it, and this is, this country of ours is so vast, we don't recognize how big it is, because regional differences and the cooking in, like, Tennessee, southern Tennessee, is completely different than the cooking in where you are today, or and they used to take, chicken and just put it in a pot, and then that's how you made chicken, and it's just, it is heavy in gravies and country fried gravy and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
You gotta have biscuits and gravy if you're gonna go down there.
Well, and I've got one better. Have you ever had chocolate gravy?
I think you just created a thing. You mean you can have chocolate and put it on gravy and put it over stuff? Wow.
Honestly, I was from the South. I had not heard of it until I married my husband. And then his mother, they're all excited. Oh, we can't wait till Christmas because we're going to have chocolate gravy. And I said, oh, I am not going to eat chocolate with my eggs. I'm telling you, it's not bad.
Kevin, we gotta order
like
some.
a chocolate sauce is what it is, yeah. But that is a Southern thing.
Well, it sounds good because I can imagine the sweet and the savory.
Oh yeah,
that's like the whole point.
You have country ham, chocolate gravy, biscuits, eggs. It's great.
Okay, ain't nothing like it.
We're making me hungry.
And by the way, Burchelle has a great Southern accent as well. Would you like to? You haven't ever used it on the show. Would you like to premiere a little bit here as you take us to break?
Well, my mama said that it's my Leanne accent, and I'll tell you what, the accent has gotten good only because of one thing. When you argue with somebody and you pull out an accent, you cannot be mad at the same time, but I'm learning to be mad in a whole nother accent. I've talked like that since I was little, and it used to get, I use that accent as my excuse to say things I should have not said in front of my mom, but my grandma always laughed, so it was my way out. An accent is good. Try it out, people. Come on.
Exactly. And if we want to go, by the way, Kathy, you are delightful. If you want to go to our website, Burchelle, how do they do it?
They need to go to kathydyeauthor.com. Her last name is D-Y-E. And when we come back from the break, I want to deep dive into the books, Kathy, and where the Kit Kat journey started and where it's going.
Yep.
And speaking of which, we have another author who does children's books, and I want to play a commercial from her right now, and it's called Abracadabra. Do you want your child to develop lifelong emotional skills as well as academic ones? We teach kids how to read, how to count, how to behave. But what if we taught them how to understand themselves? Abracadabra by Terry Bean is a gentle reminder for children and adults that emotions aren't something to fix. They're something to listen to through imagination instead of instruction. This beautifully written story helps children feel seen, safe, and understood. It builds emotional awareness, self-trust, and the kindness without screens or pressure. Paired with the companion creativity book, reflection becomes expression, and lessons become lasting tools. If you want to nurture emotional confidence, calm, and creativity, this is where it begins. This isn't screen time. This is connection time. This is storytelling with purpose and a sprinkle of magic. Buy Abracadabra today and give a child tools they can carry for a lifetime. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin. Burchelle is right there, and Kathy Dye is with us, and she is a children's author, and but I got to tell you, she is so much more than that. She's been married for 50 years, and her parents, by the way, I'm hopeful that you're going to establish a new family record and be married for longer than 66 years.
Mm. We'll
She
give
said
it a
it did
shot.
make
I'll
you
say that,
feel.
Kevin. Okay. I hope so too.
Well, because the alternative isn't what I envisioned for you
No,
anyway.
no.
No. No, and it's an honor to have you here bringing out my accent. My mom just texted me and said, "Go, Luann." So, hey, mama, love you. I love to share those stories. And speaking of stories, Kathy, you've got the Kit Kat thing. So we know where the Kit Kat came from. But we shared a little story about what it's like to have a grumpy neighbor. So you wrote Kit Kat and the grumpy neighbor. Tell us about that one.
Well, now Kit Kat Camp, I didn't go into that where that came from, but that's what the grandkids they would call. It was kind of a joke, but I had heard this and seen it somewhere where a grandmother had all of her grandchildren during the summer, like for a week, and they would do like a camp, like kids go off to camp, but they go to grandma's and do things together. And I thought, oh, that'd be great. And I got to thinking, I don't want them all together. I maybe can take 4 of them at one time, or 3 of them. But after we'd get done, they would always laugh and say, well, we've gone to Kit Kat Camp this week. And so I always thought that would make a cute book series. But what I wanted to do in that series are teach things to my grandchildren that I want them to learn, lessons that I want them to learn and that I think are important for other children. And teaching school, and you learn things about kids quite a lot. So Kit Kat Camp, the first one was about no electronics.
Oh, okay.
And I think you know why I wrote that book.
Yeah.
And so the premise of Kit Kat Camp and no electronics is you're coming to Kit Kat Camp and we're going to put those electronics aside. And so that's what we do. And what I want them to learn there, and what I want all children to know, is how important it is to use your imagination. And, growing up, when I did, that's all we had. I mean, we had a little TV, we had the little black and white, and we'd watch Tarzan and, on Saturday that.
Shirley Temple Theater. Yeah.
Yeah. It came on every Saturday.
In my world, it was Channel 11, and it was Tarzan with Johnny Weissmuller, and then Shirley Temple, and then occasionally the Lone Ranger.
Oh, the Lone Ranger. Well, I was going to add the Three Stooges because that was my favorite. Don't even get me started on that. But anyway.
And by the way, Rochelle, do you know the 3 names of who the Three Stooges were?
No, but I do know all the names you guys just mentioned.
Curly, who was bald, Mo, and Larry.
Yeah.
I like those names. Those are reminds me of my 3 personalities, how I would name them.
But Kathy, and I digress, but I have to mention this, that all the things that you and I got to do and were exposed to when we were young, going to camp, and the highlight of the day was going to the lake and to row in the canoe and to do some hiking. And there was no TV, there was no electronic devices. You had to make up your own devices as you went along. You picked up a stick, it became a gun, or the times are so different now than they were then.
Yeah. And imagination, fosters so many things. You see in the business place today, they want workers, I've seen that, where they want them to play. And while they're in their play mode, they come up with these ideas. Well, that's what Kit Kat Camp and no electronics. They put them aside. They realize that they can have fun creating their own, own world.
Yeah.
In this case, we go to space. They build their own rocket ship. They pretend they're flying. That kind of thing. So that's what I wanted them to learn in that. And it's not that I'm saying that we have to do away with all of them, but there's a time and a place. And you can't really connect with one another when you're sitting there playing on your phone or got your game machine. You need that time that you can talk and get to know one another. And that applies to adults as well. So, that's what the first book was about. And then Grumpy Neighbor, as we talked about before, Rochelle that idea is a true story as far as you said you had a grumpy neighbor. And we had a grumpy neighbor growing up that my brother would be playing ball and he did it over there and we never got the balls back. Then my grandsons, it happened to them as well. And so in the grumpy neighbor, what the lesson that the grandkids learned then is to give people a break, not to form an opinion right at first, but to take time to get to know somebody. If you can, some people won't let you enter their world. But in this case, in this story, they find out that this guy had a story that made him the way he was. And it works out really well for him in the end. I'm not going to give it away. You'll have to.
Dang it.
Well, and I love the sentiment behind that, because people can be grumpy, but until we walk a mile in their shoes, we don't know what they've experienced as to why they are the way that they are. But kindness and taking care of them in love can do a whole lot to change a nasty disposition into something a little bit better.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the whole point. And that's, again, that goes for adults as well. And, children's books, to me, that's one thing. They always want you, whenever you write a book, you are supposed to know your audience. Mm-hmm. Well, you have the person that's reading the book to the child, and more often than not, they get something out of it just as much and a deeper meaning than even the child could. Yeah. So,
by the way, I wanted to ask you, you didn't want to have all your grandchildren at the camp at the same time. How many grandchildren do you have?
7.
I can understand why.
Well, and their ages right now, they 21 to 10. So you have a big range there.
That becomes the daycare when you hit over 5.
That's right.
But I bet they loved coming to your house. And I want to share something before our next break, that a memory you sparked in me was around the same time the whole Luann started up in me. I remember using that. My mom I was outside always doing something, always getting dirty, always getting hurt. That alone builds character in a child. The scream thing comes in so many ways, but I love how you put it into this perspective of them still having their own form of curiosity. I remember, now they sell these sets for kids with the cooking and this, and it has the fake egg. And not me. I was outside picking beans off the trees and stripping the sticks and mixing different kinds of mud with different things and different pots that were old. And I love that my mom let me experience that. She gave me all those old pots and pans and whatever. Go have I had a full-blown restaurant, people. Okay. Believe it or not, I did. There was names to the items. I knew how to make some of them exactly the same as last time. And, even though a lot of the other kids were like, this one is the craziest one on the block, they liked it too. And then it sparked, but it wasn't just you could see a lot of how our parents kind of were with us and giving us that space and time, or whether we were just trying to be, just restricted, just stay in the house and don't move, don't breathe, don't puke, don't do nothing, and don't eat all my food. I think that's the main reason my mom kicked me out of the house, because I ate all the food. But I made my own food, and that part of curiosity, though, in that experience is when you learn as an adult, being the grumpy neighbor, to say, wait, what is this grumpy neighbor going through? If I was one of the other kids who came and thought I was crazy, but then started to enjoy mixing mud for 3 hours, that all leaks into it when you're an adult. And what is the next one?
I don't know. I gotta come up with something.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find it in time.
Yeah. It will come together.
And by the way, we're talking with Kathy Dye. She's delightful. She's an author, and she does so many other things. Rochelle, if you want to find out all about her, how do you do it?
You go to your internet search bar or your phone, type in kathydyeauthor.com. It's Kathy, and her last name Dye is D-Y-E, author.com, and she's got everything on there, including her best friend. You can go hear some things from there. And then Kevin's got an amazing question about something for when we come back.
Well, but first, you remind me of the a wonderful grandma that you would look forward to going over to her house. And that is, so I'm sure all 7 of your grandchildren dote on you, and when they come by, they just are really happy that you are in their life, because you're one of those people. And speaking of which, she is always, I would imagine, and when we come back from this break, I imagine that you're always kind to people. And we're going to talk about that when we come back, because in the meantime, we're going to play this. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this: be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin. Michelle's right there. And Kathy, what did you think of that piece?
You just about made me cry.
It was that bad?
No, I loved it. I loved that.
Well, and
really
but that's how you live your life, isn't it?
I try to live my life that way. Yes. And that
I'm going to suggest that you are more successful than not at living your life that way.
I'd agree.
Yes, I'm more at peace when I live like that.
And Rochelle, isn't that a big deal? Let me see. You get to be kind to everybody, you get to smile, and you're more at peace. How does that work?
I don't know.
That's
I'm still
weird.
trying to figure it out too, but it actually seems to work. Kathy, I'm just thinking, if you ever need another grandkid, just send me your address.
You're in, Rochelle. You're
okay,
in.
good. Because I'm wondering, do you find yourself having, between the ages of 10 and 21, do you tend to find yourself saying certain things to all of them in their life that gives them maybe just a different perspective on things?
Well, you'd have to ask them that question. Yeah, I mean, it's wherever they are in their life. You know, we've got two of them that are adults, you know, or adulting, and one's in college and the other's gone out to the workplace, and you would talk to them in a different way. But each of them, and you have to know that each of them have a totally different personality and how things affect them. And but I'm very blessed to have they're all wonderful children, and they bring joy to my life and my husband's life very much.
I can only imagine.
Well, and while we're talking about the grandchildren, they were kind of byproducts of your own children. So how many of them do you got?
We have three. We have 2 boys and a girl.
Um,
Well, congratulations. They are keeping the population up by reproducing themselves.
Yes, but I think they're done.
Uh, well, which is fine because they've done fine. So they've
That's
got
right. That's right. That's
there are
right.
six of them, and there are 7 kids. So they're 6 plus 1.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So very good. Are they all live in the area by you, or are they
No,
scattered all over the
that's
country?
what we moved where we are right now. We were in central Indiana, south central Indiana, and we moved closer to be next to my daughter and her family. She's lived here for over 20 years, and so we wanted to be close to them. And we have one in Texas and one in Tennessee, and so we're not that close, but we can fly out there and see them, so it's good. And Tennessee's not that far away.
Kathy, I'm wondering, did you ever say something or teach your children something that you've heard your grandchildren say?
I don't know. I can't think of anything right off the top of
You
my
probably, it's like a repercussion of the same person anyway.
yeah. I just can't think of it right off of, they'll
Well,
say funny things though, because we had one when he was a little boy, he'd come in, he'd be tattling on somebody and goes, they got angry eyes. And so that got to be a thing, we would say, you got those angry eyes, not Betty Davis eyes, you got angry eyes.
It's good awareness.
well, and I'm sure this never happened in your world, but my son's grandmother on my wife's side had a favorite phrase, and it had to do with "damn it," and so my 2-year-old son and my wife and my grandmother were walking through South Center Mall, which is a great big mall in the Seattle area. And my son was standing on his carrier, and at the top of his lungs was repeating what Grandma said on a continual basis, and they could not shut him up to save and everybody thought that was so much funny, except of course for my grandmother and my wife. They didn't see the humor in it, but everybody else who walked by did.
I would have thought it was
there's all kinds.
hilarious.
I had two wonderful grandmothers, two different, but they were different. They had totally different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it because one was the one you always thought that she was be smiling and want to hug you and do all of that. And the other one was she was more stern, but she was the one she really pushed because she had gone to college in the early 1900s and, taught school. And that didn't happen a lot, that they would actually go to college and get a degree. And she continued, she lived to 100 years old. But, she taught me things in that regard. But she was very strict. And then the other one was the one, you wanted to get cookies from and, just that kind of thing. So.
Well, she lived to be 100 years old, and she got a college degree. And by the way, as you know, in those days, that was not a thing where women got a college degree. Shame on our society for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like, Kathy, you got some good genes.
I do.
You better hide your family.
I've been very thankful for that. And, not just having good genes, but just the lives that they lived and the people that they were. And that's what I want to be for my grandchildren. And that's, to be an example to them, to live a kind life, to live a forgiving life, so that they will be that way. And I think that's what we do. One of the things that I have decided about a lot of in the study that I'm writing right now, one of the things that I say is that we have to teach the next generation. And what is it that we're going to teach them? And sometimes those need to be those things that are that hold us together. And like, even just if we want to use the word kindness, but to shed a light on how we treat each other. So.
Exactly. And by the way, speaking of genes, this guy, I don't know, Rochelle, what kind of genes this guy has, but apparently he made you part of the person that you are today. So who would this person be, by the way?
Hey, Dad, I love you. Both of my parents just, we got the whole family. It's only right since I just got adopted by Kathy. So, Dad, this is my new
Oh, I
grandma.
have more family.
He says another great show and nothing short of it. Kathy, we always talk about what you just said, and that's the importance of, my dad always says, vitamin G, vitamin gratitude and thankfulness. When is that just what you're, when it all comes down and boils down to, when you wake up and you go to sleep, doesn't it all come down to that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, gratitude. I want to put in this one more thing. When I was a child, I told you we moved from the south to the north, and they up there did not say yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and no, ma'am, and they didn't want me to say that. A lot of them didn't, but they always gave the courtesy award every year in February for the one who was the most courteous. And guess who won?
Hold on. And here she is, Miss Courteous, 19 something or other.
We're going to make you another updated award, Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
And you are just delightful, and we've had the best time talking with you.
Well, I have too.
We're so glad. By the way, Rochelle, you get to close the show out because you do this so good.
Okay, fine. Well, thank you, Kevin, as always, for making all of this possible. Kathy, we love you so much. And will you please come back?
I would love to.
Okay, good. Good. Well, I want to give you the time through closing the show to share how people can find you and the books and the work you're doing. Please come back when you figure out what the next Kit Kat camp is going to be all about. And any message you'd like to leave our audience with from the show.
Well, I just want to thank you both for making it easy. Like I told Rochelle, I was a nervous wreck.
I told you, it wasn't that bad, right?
But it's not hard, and I appreciate your kindness and your generosity. I love getting another grandchild. And Kevin, a new friend. I guess you can be my friend.
I can be your friend because I ain't your grandchild.
That's wonderful. I love new friends.
To be a brother from another mother. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. And so just remember the legacy that you will leave on this earth. And what will that be? And help us to help the next generation understand the power of that and the power of their lives and how they influence other people and how they influence one another and their families. And so you can find me at, I hate to give my website again, but KathyDieAuthor.com. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram, and you can find Gabbing with Gertie on the Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, the older version. So
perfect.
Thanks for everything.
And thank you. You are phenomenal, and this is why we do this, is so that we can have people like you on. And by the way, I got it because Mom and Dad may be watching. Rochelle's pretty cool, isn't she?
Yeah, real cool.
I'm thankful. I'm nothing short of it.
And it is great fun to have you. I would love for you, Kathy, before we go, give us one nugget, one wonderful thing that you're going to say that is going to be in the next book. Or maybe not.
Man.
Or what you tell yourself every day.
No pressure, by the way. Or what? Oh, I know what. What does Gus have to say for himself?
Gus doesn't say anything. Remember, Gus is the
I
quiet
know
one.
what it is.
I know, but wouldn't it be a magical if all of a sudden he had some profound thing that came out of his face that you had no idea?
That would be good. I need to do that. I think that would be really good.
And
I'll try.
because he's a man of few words, but the words that he says are precious.
There you go. That works. That'll work.
Very good. Kathy Dye and Rochelle, thank you so much.
Of course.
We've
Thank you,
had a
Kathy.
great
Thank you.
time.
Enjoyed it.
And we
Have a
love
great
you
day,
all.
everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Say that again, Rochelle.
We love you all and love yourself too. You deserve it.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.